We're here with Pastor Larry.
Yes.
So the Tabernacle of David. We want to kind of get to like early life. Your life growing up. That's where we want to start. We know Jackson,
Michigan.
Yeah. Just a little bit of like life growing up in the church, also, school and everything else.
Our grandfather, great grandfather, I think you was Nun Walker, and so my mother, your grandmother, grandpa, my mother was the daughter of my grandfather who pastored the church, and so we were at church all the time. I think they actually lived at the church. There's like a little house or something before I was born. They lived there.
Oh yeah.
And,
you showed us that.
yes. And so that's where they lived. And my mom always talked about, she'd be sick. My grandfather would come in and say, "Hey, tell her come on down. I'm gonna pray for her." She couldn't miss church because she's living at the church. But it's a wonderful experience. It's there's in school there were 3 schools that I think we went to down there. There's McCulloch School and T.A. Wilson School, and then Hunt Middle School. It was a great place. During that time, everyone knew everyone. So it's the community was really. I grew up on 1045 Cheddock Street. My grandmother lived 200 yards away from us or more. My Aunt Rudell lived, a block away. My Aunt Teresa lived, 3 blocks away. My grandmother and grandfather lived 5 blocks. Everyone lived. My father's father lived less than that. So all of us lived around one another. So it was really a village. Really a village. So growing up there was a great experience, wonderful experience. How I developed to the man that I was later on. A lot came from old Jackson.
Did you ever, while living in Jackson, I know you went to church there, you grew up in the church there. Was there ever a thought where you were like, no, I don't want to be a pastor, I don't want to do something else? Was that ever a thought growing up?
So back then, pastors and bishops and people like that, they might as well have been, if you said you want to be the president. It was just so far beyond. Long back when people wanted to compliment you, they said, "Man, God," especially one of the older mothers, "Man, God is going to call you to be a bishop one day." Like, man, but no, I don't think I ever thought about that. My Uncle Johnny, where first started teaching me to play the organ. He just taught me the first chords, and my dad actually showed me my first chord. But Uncle Johnny developed and showed me how to play like the church, and he was a person that we all wanted to be like. Growing up, Uncle Johnny, he played, and so I wanted to play the piano, and so I never thought about being a pastor. I just wanted to play the piano or music or stuff. But most of the times when I was in Jackson, to be honest, my mom bought a piano and I played the piano. But most of the time I was catching bugs.
Catching bugs?
Listen.
Catching bugs.
Right now, if you go to 1045 Cheddock, I'm going to go one day. I buried behind the house my own little bug time capsule. There's bugs in there in a jar. Actually, I dug this deep hole because I was always trying to dig a hole in China. And my dad said, "No, you gotta get rid of that hole next to the house because some animals might come into the house." And so I took the jar. But every day, every morning, every summer, doing every morning, and at night when I got home, they had those Miracle Whip jars. I go stick some holes in the top of it and go start catching ants. We had this tree that had all these black ants. I start catching ants. I pull over centipedes to catch them. I pull over roly-polies and catch them. And every day there'd be a big fight and let them all eat.
I was just about to say
That was it. I catch spiders and I just watch them. I caught all type bees and beetles, whatever was crawling. I put in that jar to see if it could be eaten. And praying mantis and yeah, I I loved. I mean, really to myself because I was the only boy, and we, we couldn't go out with the rest of the kids. We was poor.
Yeah.
We couldn't play with the other kids. We couldn't bowl. We couldn't go to movies. We
Yeah.
couldn't, all those different things we couldn't do. And so most of the times, unless my friends came over, I had a friend up the street called Curtis Gillespie. He was probably about the most tamest guy, but if he didn't come over, which most of the times he didn't, I was to myself. And so I lived in my own fantasy world.
Yeah, I was just about to say, my mom used to always say that she used to catch bugs. And just watch them fight. Because she used to be so scared.
Listen. And it's crazy because I caught what is that called? It starts with a C.
Cicada.
Cicada, yeah. So I caught a cicada. Well, and I didn't catch it in the fly form. I finally caught one because they're in the ground.
Yeah, they're in the ground
for years, and they come up.
Yeah.
And so one came up on a tree, and I saw it crawling, and I threw it in a jar.
Yeah.
And most of the times I throw it in the jar. Okay. Most of the times I would put it in the jar, and I would keep it on my dresser overnight. Because I would catch caterpillars and stuff and watch them going metamorphosis. And I went to sleep, and when I woke up, there was this large cicada sitting in there. I was like, "What in the world is that?" Because I thought it was just some ant, but it had overnighted. It just kind of crawled out of its shell, and that was probably the most amazing thing that I remember seeing. Going to sleep with that thing in there, and then waking up and it being something else other than butterfly.
Oh, you never thought about being a biologist or nothing?
I did, but so my mother bought me I told Mom I wanted to be a biologist, and so she bought everything I said I wanted to be. They would buy me. So they bought me a little a lab set, and I think I played with that for a month and went. I started doing something else. With all these experiments and different things. Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. When did you? Because honestly, even because we all live in a church, and
right.
Every time someone will come and prophesy, you're gonna be a preacher. You're gonna be this. You're gonna be that. It's like, when did you know you were actually about to? When did you know that it was your calling? Because I do believe that. Obviously, not all pastors are called to do it, but I feel like you especially. Like some people just have they can attract people. Like when you preach, you hear, if that makes sense. So when did you know that this was your calling?
We didn't when I grew up, there wasn't prophets and stuff like that. There were a lot of if they were people who didn't prophesy like people y'all here prophesy. They'd be in tongues, they would be shaking and moving and stuff. So I probably started thinking, now it's God, but back then, switch this.
Just give him. Give it.
Yeah, give me your mic.
Yeah. Yeah. Check one. Everybody's on.
Yeah, it's
working now. Yeah. I think it probably was in my heart because when we were little. When you've been in church all your life, that's all you see is preaching. And so when I was 5 and 6 years old, I preached a message. It was called The Big Book. Listen, y'all, The Big Book. And it was people always saying they don't do something. But yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I knocked them out. I knocked them out with the Big Book. Now today it would be a problem. Back then we was holy, so when we heard the Big Book, we was only thinking about one thing. But no, I preached as a kid, and my mom would let me preach messages because I read all these Bible books, and so growing up, I probably wanted to be some of everything. I don't think it became real to me up until I think as Daddy was getting sick. I was thinking that he would go because he was always talking about starting a church in Albion.
Yeah.
So I was thinking he would go to Albion, and then I would be down there we would do both sides, and then he would leave me in Albion, and maybe I could pastor down there with him while he was doing it. But to do something myself, I guess I never even thought of it. It was just always something that was kind of whimsical or in my mind, or something that was that I really never put stock in, because I thought about at the very same time I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be somebody playing all over the world. I wanted to be, a gospel music singer. So every other weekend I was something else. But, yeah, I was always something. So it wasn't until he passed, and then Mom said, your daddy always wanted you to have a church, and I was like, nah, Mama, I'm not getting that church. My goal was to go to a ministry in Flint, Michigan. But after she passed, I think about 3 years, probably in the year 2003 is when I knew that.
That's the year I was born.
Really? There it is. In the Bible, it talks about in the year that King Uzziah died, Isaiah said, I saw the Lord. So in the year that Angelo was born, I heard from the Lord and knew that I was going.
Well, I think I remember we just started.
Come on now.
We just started coming here around that time. My mom was pregnant, and then Angelo's mom was pregnant. We just started coming. I remember your mom was preaching. She was amazing. And I remember Elder Thad. Is it Elder Thad that would be reading the Bible every time? Yeah, he'd be reading the Bible, and he'd be like, and then your mom would be like, say that. Hey, keep going. And I remember the day because I switched and said, yeah, my son will now be the new pastor of the church. Everybody's congratulating you. And it's such a core memory that I have.
Really? I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
When we were young, they used to call that when they called those people the read on. So when you would read, somebody would read. Because back then, preachers couldn't read.
No,
a lot of them couldn't read the Bible. So they would find people that could read the Bible.
Yeah.
So if somebody would read the Bible, for what said it? What said it? The word is nigh thee. The word is nigh. They would know what nigh meant. The word is nigh thee, even in thy heart, even in your heart. It's in your heart. It's in your heart. The word is in your heart. So they was like the people who would kind of read for you. So, but later on, as people got more educated, they started reading for themselves. So, but that's where that came from. A lot of many of the African slaves, they were illiterate, and so they would have to have someone that would read for them, and they would read on, and they would just whatever they said, they would have. So if they said something that wasn't in the Bible, or if they couldn't pronounce it, then they would perpetuate sometimes ignorance, which a lot of times in the church what we have, because based upon things being perpetuated, from years to years.
I actually that's crazy you said that, because I wondered what that person was. It wasn't maybe I'm like, bro, I'm hearing the word four or five times. But I was on research, and Peter was half blind. And so some of the disciples weren't like illiterate, but like how you learned the word was you had to find someone that knew it, and they would tell you basically.
Oh, what the word means.
Yeah, like that, or like everyone was almost literate.
Because there was no dictionary.
Yeah, there was nothing. So they would learn from someone. There wasn't, like a.
You talking about when?
Like Peter, like the disciples were like up with like Jesus.
Oh yeah.
That's how they learned as well.
Well, I think it was Paul that was blind, but I think that the Bible says that they were unlearned men, which meant that a lot they were kind of like all of y'all are just. I would be an unlearned man because I didn't graduate from college or didn't finish college, and so but those were those who didn't. Many people went to school. So a lot of the Sadducees, the Pharisees, they went to school, and so those were the other people. Because during that time, you basically stayed in the station where you were. So if you were going to be a lawyer, then that's what you were going to be. And so, but if you were just like a regular carpenter, or you were a regular fisherman, then you wasn't supposed to be teaching nobody, talking about it. I mean, that was for the scribes, that was for other people to do. And so that's what happened. I mean, they even though they knew the Bible, they weren't supposed to be speaking that. And then now the next thing that happened is that they began to have this revelation of what the word was, which really began to Bible people.
Revelation.
What is that?
When you had a
preacher
a service about Revelation.
Revelation. That was your thing.
And he was over
I was screaming.
My man, see, that's one thing I like in the church. I like some talk back. I don't like no quiet church. Right? I mean, somebody say something. I don't care what you say. Just say something while I'm preaching.
Well, you guys always make an experience here. Every time I come in, I have a great time, and it's super memorable. Like you were like, "Oh, well, I had the revelation that this Billy wasn't as strong," and then you started chasing him around and everything. And then like I was even kind of annoying Angela a little bit because like the service just prior before the revelation one that I came to,
Okay.
is walking the path that God takes you and let Him be your shepherd. So me and Evan were like, "Better walk that path." Walk that path.
I like that.
And then Angela was like. Revelation was
Yeah, you had to be here.
Yeah.
And some things you just got to be here to get.
Right.
I was what made me think of that, Bastion, thanks for sharing that. It was that I was there was a Valentine, it was February, whatever it was, and someone sent, Lene and I to the Radisson for
Oh, the hotel. Yeah.
hotel for I think it's Doubletree now. It was Radisson back there for a weekend of love, I guess. and so we get there, and so we're getting ready to go on and eat, and we get on the elevator. We're going down, and it stops like I don't know, 2 floors down. And all at once, all these Nation of Islam guys get on the and we get on, and so we sitting quiet. It's about 7 of them, and you just feel them. You sitting by the door like, man, please let me get to the bottom, because we knew that Farrakhan was in town. He was speaking at Michigan State.
Oh, wow.
Louis Farrakhan.
Who's that?
He's the leader of the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Black Muslims, really in the United States. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Just look at it. But so he was in town, and so it was quiet for the first, And then almost behind me, guy said, "Hey, brother," said, "You gonna go see the minister tonight?" And I said, No, I'm gonna be going. Why ain't you going to see the minister tonight? The one thing about the Nation of Islam, they are so aggressive. Everything they say to you is aggressive. So I said, well, because I'm a Christian. He said, well, I'm gonna tell you something. This, if I tell anybody, this is where he said, I'm gonna tell you something. He says, you come and see the minister tonight, and you might not like it, but I'm gonna tell you something. You won't forget it.
Jeez.
And that became my mantra in church.
Wow.
You might come to Tabernacle of David, and you might not like it. We might be too loud. We might be too whatever, but you won't forget it.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's been my attitude. You come in, let's set an atmosphere. Let's set a place that when people show up, I remember Alvin Jr. here, who's called Little Man. So little no more. But we start singing. I think it was I would celebrate la 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 la. And they would come from the back and they would run all the way up here. Man, it would just shut the place out. And that's what we want it to be. I want people to come and experience God in the way that they need to experience it. I mean, whether that's jumping, whether that's yelling, whether that's screaming, whether that's dancing, whether that's traditional, whether that's more, in whatever way it is to experience God in whatever way you need to experience Him. And that has always been my desire. When I see that, when I saw this young boy, somebody laid hands on him and he started doing somersaults, through the thing. It was like, wow, it was just, man, I just busted out, started crying, because that's what's his expression. Now the mouths of babes and sucklings becomes perfected praise. Whatever is in you gonna come out, and when you're happy and joyous about something, I mean, let it ride.
Do you ever feel like it's like, I feel like back then it was so, like the outreach was so fast. We could grab so many people. You ever feel like it's harder to grab people now, like with the new age of technology, social media, different types of influence? Do you think the influence is harder now in the church?
Yes. I think that especially for somebody like me, especially for someone like me who has to who's constantly trying to unfold, not necessarily evolve, but maybe even a little bit of that, but unfold into what it is that God has called me to be. There are certain people who are supposed to be in your life, but it is. I mean, you have internet now, you have, and so people watch from there. People more look for more of an informational. Some people look for more, not everyone, informational type service where things are more taught in a different way. I think there's just something for everybody. I think you just have to find ways. I don't. It's church. If you ask it if people going to church is hard, I think that you probably have more people who go to church because you call those mega churches are there's more of them than at any time there's ever been.
Yeah.
I think we all have to make sure, because I have no judgment for any church. This is hard to get people in the church. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
You have to have an anointing. You have to be called to get people in the church. But I think that, I just hope that it's a life change. People's lives are really changing, and they're not just experiencing a passion or a emotional experience or intellectual experience, and not really experiencing a really God experience.
It's like a spiritual.
I was trying to
Spiritual.
That's how you meet God.
Yeah.
You can't just meet God in an intellectual way. You talked about who knew God like that, but he didn't know God. Come to find out, I didn't know you, but I come to know you in the power of your resurrection, fellowship of your suffering. I had to get to know you in who you are and getting knocked down. I had to. Sometimes we can only find God, or most times we can only find God when we're at our lowest point. The best thing to do is to get to your lowest point on your own. Don't let God take you there, so you can find him there. Good question.
So I did want to ask,
Please.
because it correlates like the very beginning.
Okay.
You had mentioned that you said you're the only boy, or you?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. I was. I had another brother in 1980, maybe 83. He lived only 6 weeks. He was
I'm very excited to hear that.
he passed from SIDS, sudden infant syndrome.
Yeah.
That's a morning I will never forget. Yeah. His name is Timothy.
Yeah, but you had said that you were the only child, pretty much. You'd grown up alone, right?
Yeah. Only son.
Only son. Okay. Yeah, and then going from that, and then you said like there was the whole village.
Yeah.
Then there's like the separation with social media.
Right.
But then you were able to build yourself up to get that presidential spot as a pastor, like to do the service. You earned yourself that by people from the outside can see that and like confide in you, trust you, listen to you, right? So how do you manage being a pastor who's also just a normal person that goes through their own struggles as well?
Yeah.
So how do you like manage going through that?
I actually did a horrible job most of my life. Because it is a lot. I think it's like the best way I can share that what pastoring is like when you are pretty strong here. It's like, when you go into the weight room, they'll put 10 pounds on this side and 10 pounds on that side, and you get up under the bench press. They put another 10 pounds on these, put another 10 pounds. And the longer you pastor, if you don't do it, it's very easy to forget about who you are and become what people call you. All my life I've been in church all my life. Man, boy, I was pastor's son, brother Trice, the music minister, minister Trice, elder Trice. Then Pastor Trice, at the very same time, being a husband, being a father of 3 children. It was a lot. I think it took its toll, slowly taking its toll on me, because pastoring is not, it's like I said, it's a lot. You carry, like you say, not your own issues, but you have to carry your own health issues, because, when I became pastor, I was healthy as I could be. But slowly but surely, the first thing they go and say, well, take a water pill. You got your blood pressure. Okay, now take a blood pressure pill. Okay, now take 2 blood pressure pills. Oh, you're on verge of diabetes. Take a diabetes pill. Oh, now you better take a pill for your cholesterol pill. Now you got to, and they kept sticking pills. And now you start taking pills, you start having other issues because you start having side effects. So I think by the time I got, what I didn't know is because I didn't drink a lot of water, that my kidneys were really becoming really bad. And so by the time I was really starting to get sick in 2019. And
Could you get mic closer?
I'm sorry, yeah, I really started getting sick about 2019, and so I began to start considering what was I going to do. I didn't want to do, my father died.
Yeah,
From a brainstem stroke. I mean, just suddenly, I mean, he's coming back from Chicago, and I started seeing myself with the very same type of symptoms. And but I kept pressing on. I mean, like in church, preachers, we think we're invincible. We forget that we're human,
Yeah.
and we think that we can do anything. So the COVID came. I was going to quit before the COVID, step down before the COVID. My children, really Larry and Ray, was really leaning on me. Hey, Dad, everybody wanted me to get out because they didn't want to see me die because I was feeling well. And but I pressed on through the COVID. But then after the COVID, I had a good friend of mine, Pastor Jesse Brown. He was so strong, so good. And Jesse, I could get the call. I remember in Atlanta, we went to Orlando, we stayed in a hotel, and I get a call. He said he had died from COVID. That was at that point, before I was never scared of anything. I mean, death now became something that was
A reality.
there it is. And so I left. I shouldn't say I left, but I stepped away, try to get healed. I went to Arizona for 2 years. And but I got more than just my health together. I was able to find that. I was able to find who I was because nobody knew me. I was in a city called Chandler, Arizona. No one knew me as pastor. Nobody knew me as anything. I went to the church. One person knew me. Someone introduced you to pastor. I said no. I sat in the balcony every Sunday, and I didn't want anybody to. People would talk to me. Hey, you seem like you know about the Bible. Okay, yeah, I know a little bit about it. Wouldn't tell anybody. Wouldn't share. But I come to find out the man that I was. There were parts of that I liked. There were parts of that I didn't. The parts of that I knew about me that were much stronger than I thought. Parts about me that I thought were weaker. And so it was an opportunity for me to learn to be alone. Back as you said, I've always had hundreds of people, even thousands of people around me. But now here it is, I'm by myself. I wake up, I'm looking around, and I'm by myself. So I had to learn that. That was a great lesson for me coming back because I don't need everybody to be a pastor here. We need to be, I love them. I can love people the same, but I can go home at night and feel good.
I was going to say, you were talking about it now, and it just come to me. I've never really thought of I've never really realized when you're a pastor, like a public figure, you're in this bubble.
Yeah.
And I feel like I felt like loneliness before, like in college. I went through a brief depression of loneliness.
Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering, you've been pastor for 20 years.
Yeah.
Everybody sees you as pastor. Have you ever felt lonely at a time where I'm a pastor, I can't talk to people what I want to talk about because I'm a pastor, I'm this figure, I can't really say what I'm feeling or how I feel about things because I am a pastor?
It's a terrible thing.
Mm.
And you've not really walked into a place of greatness or a place of success if you don't feel that lonely. David says, "Yea, though I walk through the valleys of the shadow of death," Jesus, Gethsemane, asked his disciples, "Well, can y'all wait up with me for 1 hour? Can somebody wait up with me?" It's the feeling of Elijah. Man is calling fire down from heaven, running and said, "I'm all by myself. Nobody else here to serve me." It is the feeling. You feel that at times. And it was hard for me to take some days because, when you by yourself, you got to listen to yourself. And sometimes yourself, not your friend. They're telling you all types of stuff about you. Some of it's true, some of it lies, but it's talking to you. And you can't run from yourself. And so that's when you have to trust God. Yes, when you really have to trust God. Where David said that my soul, he says, God, my soul is cast down. I'm trying to remember some good stuff, but my soul is cast down, and it is. I mean, you do. I mean, that's so honest. I mean, you do feel depressions, and you do feel lonely. But I mean, you just gotta hope to get out of it. Sometimes it's good to stay in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
This is good.
Because I've been getting like into my Bible a lot more, and I heard this one guy said that God never just. It's rare to see God just save someone. You have to endure. Endurance is like a big thing. And like lines that just in every Job, he's got to endure.
Man, that is so crazy you saying that. That is my thing for next year.
Oh wow. Endure?
Yeah. That's
Enduring faith.
Oh, wow.
You done messed it, man. You done told that girl. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
No,
Trying to speak of the Angelo. Spoiler alert. That's it, man.
since we're on that topic of like just because you are human.
Yes.
I mean, we've all seen what church its toll it takes on the body and the mind itself.
Yeah.
And so when do you think that time is, and when you're just gonna, because we asked Uncle John, and he's like, hey, I'm in transition right now. We got to hear. Well, when do you think, obviously you don't, you'll never know the exact day, but when do you,
Next week. You heard it here again, folks. No, I came back to first of all, when I say I came back, it wasn't something that I said I'm coming back to Lansing. I love Chandler, Arizona, for all those Arizonians out there, and I would love to go back there. But God told me to come back, and wasn't coming back to Tabernacle. I was just coming back to Lansing to go and pray. I mean, I felt like that's what was in my heart to do it. But to make a long story short, so when I came back, I'm more assignment driven. I recognize that I need to have someone that is going to a successor. Got to have a succession plan. So I'm working on that. I'm doing all the things that I believe that I'm supposed to do. And then as soon as I'm finished with that, then I believe that the time will be. I will be good. I mean, I don't need. I love people. I love the work, but I don't need to be in charge, to do ministry. I don't need to be the pastor.
Yeah.
I believe that I will always, something that I didn't know when I left before, I was like, I don't have nothing to do with Tabernacle or Pentecostal. That will never be mine. So, and I will always have something to do as an overseer, as long as I'm alive, to make sure that that what I believe is every new pastor will have a little different feel, but I always want Tabernacle to make sure it has the same vision as it relates to multicultural, multi-generational, multi-denomination, and multi-national ministry. I want it to always be that. I want it to always be a place of love, a place of worship. I want it to always be reaching out, touching people, always having an experience that when people come in here, they're like, man, yeah. That multiple people, not just the pastor, but multiple people can come in and be empowered to show their talents and their gifts and who they are. People like you all, get in here and share and talk. And I mean, I'm learning stuff now from you all, listening to you, and it's very easy. I can grow with Bastion, but definitely with you all, and to see how you all have grown, and it's amazing. I mean, that's what the ministry and the church is.
It's crazy to see. We've been there for like 20 years. It's been we actually grew up in the church, grew up.
Bros, that's years. Yeah, I've been here since.
I remember this place. All this wasn't here. The gym wasn't built. And it's still being built.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy to see the phases like the church has gone through. And like when I was sitting up here and I was just stuck and I'm looking out in the crowd, I'm like, bro, I remember shut-ins. We were here
Really?
Monday to Monday. We were here for fast, sleeping, praise and worship at like 1 a.m. And like, I don't know, I feel like I'm sitting back and just recollect. Like I live in New York now, but coming back, it's a surreal feeling. A surreal feeling being back in the church.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. Your mom and dad introduced me to a culture that or a life. It's just more than a culture that I had no idea existed. They embraced us. First of all, they embraced my mom. I remember them coming. I remember you and Shooter being there. And I just, they just taught me so much about Africa, Nigeria, I should say that. And the culture of it. And they just taught us so much about so many different values that we just did not have that was there. And I would just sit with your dad and your mom and just talk to him and ask them questions. Your mom gave me a book. She said, I want you to read this book. This book right here tells you everything about Africa I don't think it did. Sorry, Stella, I don't think it told us everything. But I think it's when things fall down.
Oh, when things fall apart. When things fall apart.
It was such a great book, and it was your dad, just a genius. I know y'all don't think but he's a genius.
No, my dad,
I don't care how many degrees you all get. Your dad is a genius. I mean, he would just share things with me. Then he took me out one time. He told me about volleyball. I mean, not volleyball, but it was football.
Football, soccer, yeah.
He took me out there one day, and I said, okay, he said, no, here, let me show you how to do it. So we get out there. He turns around, flips me, trips me, knocks me to the. I didn't think your dad even had that in him. Then kicks the bottom of him. That's how you play. And people stick people with needles.
No, he was doing
about all I said, nah. The violent sport.
It's a different game.
The outreach is go ahead, guys.
Yeah. So just trying to.
Am I talking too long?
No.
Hey,
I didn't get to talking.
No, I'm just trying to make sure I got more questions for you.
No, I'm gonna make it short.
So it's perfectly fine. So when you were saying, like during your like progression of becoming a pastor, that sometimes, especially like now, with you being at the pinnacle of your career, like this is where you stop, right? Would be a pastor?
No.
Okay. So, but the reason why I was asking that is that you were saying that sometimes when you're going down this certain path that you're alone. So sometimes people feel like distance from God, or like just a loneliness, not in the sense that they're going down the wrong path, but they feel alone.
Okay.
So what's like something that you do, or like a practice that you do to make sure that like to bring God into your life? I mean, obviously it's different for you than like the average, but
Pastor, loneliness is loneliness, and I can only talk from my space. I love God, talk to God all the time, but sometimes I can't find Him. Sometimes I'm looking for Him. Job said that I go forward, He's not there. I go to the left side, where I normally try to find Him. I go back, I'm looking around. He said, I don't know where He is. But then He goes and says, but He knows the way I take. He knows where I am. And so, y'all about to try to get me to cry.
No.
Get me to cry on this one. But I mean, I think the thing is, when I can't find Him, and there's so many times when you're walking in faith, because a faith walk, whenever you're willing to do something that's bigger than yourself, and that's what you all do. Whenever you're ready, like the ant, to grab on something that's bigger than you, and to do something that's bigger than you are, it is a lonely one. Mm-hmm. You feel by yourself. Grab hold of that speaker by yourself, and it's like, could somebody come and help me take that? And it is and so I try to find significance. I try to find significance in the place that He knows where I am. Mm-hmm. And that sense, I know and believe that He is there, that He is God. Since He knows where I am, no matter where you are, then I find faith. My faith tells me this, is that all things work together for my good, because I love Him and I'm called according to His purpose. And so if He believes, since He knows where I am, since He's going to make everything work together for my good, Let me just endure. Let me just hang on just a little bit longer. And sooner or later, it will manifest itself. Don't give up hope. That's what my songs is about. That's what my ministry is about. Stay optimistic for your future because it's gonna turn around.
Yeah.
I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if you in jail. I don't care if you about to go to jail. I don't care if you're in trouble. I don't care if somebody says something on the internet. I don't care what. It's gonna turn around. So you cannot give up. So that you're there when things turn around.
Okay, speaking about songs,
Hey,
we know you do a little bit of music.
I got done a little something every now and then.
Music, huh?
Got a little something going on.
How is it kind of just like, because you're not like on a label or anything.
No, I see that.
So like, how is that? Trying to promote yourself
All right.
as a just solo artist.
So I am what you call an independent artist.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to one of the biggest labels by the person that was on the biggest label in gospel music. I won't say the label. Taken there by someone who was very well known on the pillars of gospel music. And sat there and was told about a deal that we were going to get. And I should have made them sign it. They didn't. And because it is a big label, they have a lot of other people. You have to think gospel music. I think somebody said releases about 1,000 CDs a day.
Oh wow.
So you got to think 1,000 CDs a day. People release music. So on the radio, you have about an hour. So in an hour, most songs now, songs should be 5 minutes. They'll make you do your song, make them 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to have commercials. In them songs, in that hour, they got to play Kirk Franklin. They got to play Donnie McClurkin. They got to play all those. Yeah, they got to play Shirley Caesar. Yeah, so they got to play all the people.
Yeah.
And then after they play all those people, then the labels got the money. They're the one that can, that's going to take care, got the control. So they're going to make sure all the other people get on there. And so for independent artists or somebody like us, to get on the radio is it's really hard. I mean, it's unless you're like a local station, which which really don't pay a lot. It's hard to get on. But thank God really blessed me, and so we're on Kirk Franklin. We're on a lot of different sources right now. We're releasing something, so it's hard. It is a lot of money. You got to think just real quick. So I thought that after I did the music, it was done.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just taking it to the radios. No, you don't take your stuff to the radio station. You give your stuff to a radio person. That person right there charges between $1,500 for independent artists, between $1,500 to $2,500
Oh wow.
a month.
Oh wow.
You pay that per month. Then you got to pay something to make sure you get paid. Now that's against the laws. So they don't pay money, but that costs about $1,200, $1,500 for a few months to make sure all of them get some. And so there is a lot of money to be expended. I've spent over $100,000 at one time.
Oh my
to
God.
produce and people spend more than that. Oh, stuff never gets on.
Yeah.
Never goes anywhere. So God blesses us. I don't pay. I just started paying again for radio, but If is on the radio. It's been on there for a while. Kirk Franklin for a while. God is back on there. It's going up the charts, and so it's been amazing. I love to do that.
I was gonna ask, do you guys ever do anything like especially the church? I don't see a lot of churches on social media, like posting like clips or any fun things on TikTok or interactive things. Same thing with the music. I know that's how a lot of independent artists thrive, but I feel like the social media presence for churches isn't as big as I would like to see, especially on TikTok. Especially you can find your community, find a niche, bring them out, and they do like the work for you as well as
Yeah, anybody raise their hand to help me do that? I mean, that's the thing in the church is to find a person. Because first of all, to get somebody that's going to do it, I mean, it costs.
yes.
And because it costs, I mean, that many times churches can't afford to really do it. You got to have anywhere between a $30,000-$40,000 budget to make sure that somebody is constantly on that, all the time. And so it is expensive. So it's just something that I'm wishing that we can get some churches to somebody to help us do
I
that.
feel like you guys would thrive with that. I feel like literally
100%.
every single service there's at least 10 clips. And you guys are already recording it anyways.
You know what
It's
I
all
would love for you to say, Bastion?
Is that odd clip?
No, no. Yeah, but I mean, I want you to say us guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if you don't know of some, I mean, what you all are doing? I mean, how can we do that? Church is limited. I mean, a lot of people, you should get a younger church.
Yeah.
People, a lot of talented. We have young people here, but we have to engage them to find out what they can do, what they can do. I would love for that to be on.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Like I saw I haven't been in a while, but I saw the pictures on the wall.
Okay.
And there's a lot of older, like there's younger individuals, they're like older. You'd be like, hey, clip up that last part for me, give me 10 clips. And then you can
Wow.
post that on TikTok, TOD, and they'll clip it up. It's so easy to make a clip. And like for kids nowadays, and they do it all the time because kids are they don't
make
even watch
money.
cartoons anymore.
No.
Kids are watching streams,
Yeah,
like
Twitch.
streams.
Twitch is TV now.
Twitch is TV. They're not watching cartoons or anything.
Listen, I do the same thing with sports. I watch sports all the time, and I'm always on YouTube. I just want to catch the highlights. Every now and then I'll watch something all the way through, but most of the time I'm just watching highlights of news, clips of this, and yeah, I would love. I mean, because I am growing up in the time that I was. It was just something that I completely
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
So yeah, if we can find somebody to do that, I would be yes. Let's do that. Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, even going live, like honestly, like on Twitch.
Yeah, it's not just.
I don't even know what
Being-
Twitch is.
being live, it's just pretty much a side thing, right?
What is Twitch?
Well, that's what we're on right now.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
We're
on
live
Twitch.
right now.
Really?
On Twitch, Facebook, YouTube,
Twitch. I'm coming to a platform near you really soon.
Yeah,
Twitch.
yeah.
Why do they call it Twitch?
That's a great question. That's just
It's an app.
Because actually you start watching so much you say.
It's crazy. You Twitch here. You keep coming here.
So, and this just goes into another fact of like the evolution of church and like how things are like with the social media that we brought up earlier, and then like integrating ourselves into social media. Like, why do some people feel hurt or judged by the church, and how can they change that? So, like, the reason why I'm asking that is like maybe some person might want to only watch it on YouTube
Right.
rather than coming in because they have some like preconceived notion or
Yeah. There's always, for me, and I can only speak for myself, in the words of Charles Barkley, in my opinion, I think that there's not enough in the middle in the church. Sometimes you have churches that are so traditional that unless you come in looking a certain way, you shouldn't come in. You have churches that are so liberal that you can just come in any type of way you want to come in.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably, somewhere in between, it's always amazing for me, for anybody who judges anybody, because everybody's going through something.
Yeah.
So I think that people believe that's when they read the Bible, when you read exegete the Bible and look at it, extrapolate from what's there, or maybe I should say not exegete, but eisegete it. That means come up with your own opinion of what you think it says. Then whatever you are, then you're going to say that's what it is. I mean, if you're somebody that's judgmental, as soon as you get it, you're going to judge somebody. The Bible says, listen, if you do this, you're going to hell. You know what I mean? But, and so I think that
you turn that voice on real quick.
yeah, it's where your heart is. That's why where our hearts are so important. Most people are not Christians.
Yeah.
Most people do not do what Jesus would do. They don't think. How can you look at the life of Christ, whether it was the woman who was caught in the act of adultery, whether it was a woman who came to Jesus, who laid down and with the life that she had and washed Jesus' feet with her hair. I think that was Mary. How could you look at all of his disciples betraying him? Even Judas. Judas was at the table. Man, I would have listened. I said, "Hey, Judas, it's you." You come on, is it I? He talking about everybody. Everybody said, "Is it I?" Yeah, like, "Is it I?" Man, you know it's you. I had to say something. But he just say, hey, go do what you do quickly. I mean, that's really what the church should be. It's not our house.
Yeah.
It's God's house. And that's what I tell people when they come to me. Why you let so-and-so? Why you let this? And why you let that? That ain't for me to judge. You know, I mean, there's certain things that I think that I don't want nobody there hurting the church, hurting people, but that's not up for me to judge. This is God's house. I mean, what's your mom's name?
Carrie.
What Carrie allows in her house and what Kim allows in her house and what Stella allows in her house or Dad allows in their house. That's up to them. What I'll do in my house is different from what you'll do in your house.
Yeah.
This is God's house. And if God says, hey, let them come in, go into the hedges and the highways and compel men to come. Yeah, I mean, and I believe if this is real the way it is real, Pastor, people will change.
Yeah.
I mean, God will change them. I can't change them. If I could change them, I'd name my church the Larry Church.
Yeah.
I can't change myself. I mean, it is the work of the Holy Spirit that changes us all. So I think that you allow people to grow, allow people to, come along. I'm sure y'all, since you all grown up, you see kids when y'all were young, like, man, I can't believe you did something that stupid. I mean, as you grow and mature, you look at others and say, I don't know why they doing that. But it's the church has to be more Christ-like, and I think that I would hope that we're becoming more here at the church.
Yeah, I think we'll end on this one.
Okay.
We got you, friend. We done got you,
We
friend.
got you for a while.
Do you have a favorite scripture or a favorite story in the Bible that's just kind of like your go-to?
Or just a
Or
person.
if you're down, there's something that you read. Uncle Johnny was
What do you have?
what is Uncle Johnny's?
It was it's on the tip of my tongue. We learned it when we were kids. It's like the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not. Yeah.
That's what
Wow.
Uncle Johnny's.
Well, let me say this real quick. I think I saw one of the things I was thinking that what is the most memorable experience you ever had while you were preaching?
Yeah.
Let me hit this one real quick.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Okay.
30 seconds. I was in Ukraine.
Okay.
I was in Ukraine. That's where you and your brother were.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Ukraine and I was preaching. Now in we have a lot of colloquialism in the black church where you tell people, turn around to somebody, tell 3 people that God is good all the time.
But man, yeah.
Give your neighbor a high five and tell them that God is good all the time. Slap 3 people and tell me God. So I all that stuff. And so while I was in Ukraine, I said, turn to your neighbor and slap him upside the head. I don't know what. I don't think I said that exactly, but something like that. And this guy. No, I said, turn to your neighbor and
Pat him.
Nudge him.
nudge him. I think I said nudge your neighbor and tell him that something that God is this. And the guy did it, and the girl was sitting there. She said, "Smack." It's like, what in the world?
And then you heard it too.
What in the world? Yes. Stunned. So every place you can't go with all that wisdom and stuff, you better know what you mean. But my favorite scripture is found in Hebrews, I believe 10, 57 verse maybe. It says, cast not away your confidence, for in it you have a great recompense. You have need of patience, that after you have done the will of God, that you might receive the promise. Wait on it, because he that said he will come will surely come and will not tarry. It is so, don't draw back, it goes to say. But because the just, goes on to say, shall live by faith. Basically, it says, don't cast away your boldness or who you are, or your confidence in God, or your confidence in what he said, or your confidence of even who he says that you are, because it's going to produce something. You just have to wait. You just have to wait for it. Because if he said that he's going to come, he's going to show up. And he ain't just holding on to see if you, let me see if he really, no, he's going to show up. He says the just shall live by faith. And I close with, we don't have a sin problem. Everybody's always thinking about, oh, this sin, this sin, this sin. No, the church doesn't have a sin problem. The world doesn't have a sin. The world has a faith problem. And that is believing God. That is trusting God. The reason we fall beneath his mark is because we don't trust him. Your faith needs to be built up. Stop always stopping. I got to stop doing this. I got to stop doing this. I got to stop. No. You got to start having faith enough to do this. Have belief in our God. If I try this right here, this is going to change my life. And that's what you all are doing, is to have the faith enough to believe that though there's 50 million other people doing podcasts, people won't listen to mine. That's faith. And if you have the confidence in it and say, this is going to be great, this is going to go all the way around the world, he that said he will come will surely come and will not tarry. Don't draw back away from it. Have confidence in it. In the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I think I have to say about that.
Oh, you heard it here, folks. It's been a podcast.
Was all check?
You might want to check. You got mental health check for the end of every podcast. 1 means I'm on cloud 9, and then 10 means I need some help. So today I'm at 3. I'm chilling.
Yeah, I'm at a 2 back home for just the weekend, but I'm happy. So yeah, I'm at a 2.
Right now, I'm at a 1.
Oh,
Now, maybe a little later on it can change, but I'm gonna believe God. I'm gonna stay at the 1 right there.
I'm at like a 3-4. Just had a maybe a 5. Had a long day at work. And I had the worst coworker. No. I didn't work with him today, but yeah, no, it's just But no, it's been a great day.
Yeah, I'm at like a 4 or 5.
That's a 5.
I'm doing good. I miss doing this. It's good to do a pod. It was great to be in the tabernacle and seeing you Pastor Trax.
Well, earlier today, I was at them other numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now. I was at them other numbers. I won't name which one. Somebody might say I lost my face. But right now, I'm with Bastion, I'm with Jello, I'm with Ike, I'm with Little Man, LA. And so listen, I'm at a 1.
Let us see. Let's see.
Pod, you got Alvin.
You got Ike?
Good, Angelo?
Got bashes.
You got Larry, Pastor Trice.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Appreciate you having me on, man.